Welcome back, everybody, to Hot Rod Guy Garage, and this is going to be another episode of At the Shop Stuff. The 91 Mustang GT is over on the rack. This video is not going to be about that car. I'm working on getting all the old fuel system stuff off. This video is going to be on the 1986 Buick Grand National that I have at the shop. So I'll flip the camera around and we'll kind of go over some things that are going on with this car. So what we have here is a 1986 Buick Grand National. Surely you know what a Buick Grand National is. This car had a lot of leakage issues and running issues. Nothing related to the base motor itself, but we've kind of decided to kind of go all out on this car. So we're going to work on getting this car cleaned up, painted underneath in the frame. We're going to put all new suspension under it, a race style suspension. And we'll fix some of the things from its past. Things to note, this was a northern car, so I'm having to put a driver's side floor pan in it. Mostly probably because somebody at one time left the window down in it and the carpet got wet and rusted the floor from the top down. The rest of the car is pretty solid, with no considerable rust mentioned. Other than some surface type stuff on the frame, cross member stuff, and I'll address that later. But this is going to be another mini kind of sub-series. So what I done, I come in here yesterday, I cut the floor pan out. I marked it roughly where I wanted to cut it. Just like when I done the 65 Ford Mustang and put the floor pan in, you want to kind of use factory seams where you can. And that's what I'm going to do over here on this side. I've still got to extract probably 1 inch of the seam all the way around. That way it's seamless, at least on one side. So I've already got that cut out. And I've got a new floor pan here. And as you can see, our old floor pan, it was pretty crusty. So I tried to cut all the way up to clean metal, all the way around and across. And then, of course, you can see how much the factory seam's still in the car that I have to cut out this morning. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to use this as kind of a template to cut my patch out. I will cut it probably 1/4 inch larger all the way around at my cut seams, just so I can fit it as I need it to the car. But this is how you start out doing this stuff, guys. If you don't have a pattern, you're going to have to do the best you can to kind of make one where you can cut out your patch. Or you can put the whole section in. This car didn't need the whole section, so I'm cutting out the patch portion, which is probably at least 60% of the whole panel. So at this point, I'm going to get busy working on this. I'll bring y'all along for a ride of me cutting the patch out and fitting it in the car. And I'll be back later on in the video and we'll talk about a few things. Okay guys, I come in here and I've cut out our seam. Cut all the spot welds off of it. And as you can see, we got some crust here. Now, we're not going to just put a panel right over top of this. What we need to do, we need to clean this. And the way I'm going to clean it is with a wire brush. Then we'll come in here and treat this with some rust mort. Let it dry. I'm going to wire brush it again. And then we'll spray some weld through primer where spot welds are. Then I'm going to come in here with a flap disc and I'm going to clean the edge up. And from there, we're going to start on our new panel. So follow along with me. And as you can see, I got that all cleaned up. I went there with flap disc, knocked down the factory spot welds, and any small shards of metal I might have missed. Wire brush, you know, all that good stuff. I want the metal as clean as possible. So now I'm gonna get some Rust Morton spray bottle. I'm gonna get that on there, let it sit for a little while, wire brush it back off while we trim our panel. Alright guys, it's just a little while later. I put my Rust Morton in a little spray bottle. Just spray it down right here. Now you can already see there's quite a bit of difference. So I'm gonna let that sit a few more minutes and keep doing its thing, and then I'll come back here and wire brush it off again, and then we're ready for some weld through primer on this area right here. This will be our only overlapping seam, and this is a factory overlapping seam right here. That's why it's super important to get any rust killed in this area. It's also why it's super important to use a weld through primer, especially from right here all the way right down through here to where your seat mount is. Now, I could have went ahead and cut this floor all the way out back through here, but the floor under the seat mounts are solid. Floor around the seat mount was solid. I cut about 1 inch inside the rust band. So what that does, that saves us a bunch of labor time of having to remove the driver's side seat mount. And it also gives us a nice clean seam all the way around, and nothing will look disturbed. The main goal in this is to make sure that when you do a patch like this, that when you're done, it doesn't look like there's been a patch put in. So that's what we're going to shoot for. We'll see where we end up today, and I'll be back here in a little while. And as you can see, I got my patch cut out. Now we can see how it fits. But basically what I done, I laid it on top. I allowed a 1/4 inch all the way around, marked it, and then I trimmed it out. Also note there's a little bump right here that is a dent right here in the factory pan. The aftermarket floor pan doesn't have this bump, so more than likely I will form that bump into this piece of metal. So that's where we're at right now, guys. And alright guys, I got our panel fitted. Now what I done after I cleaned the edges of this up, I laid it back in here. I marked around the edges of this, and I cut it off where we'd have a good flush fit. Up here it is flush, and this stuff will push down flush 99% of the way around this panel, which is what you're shooting for anytime you put in a floor pan patch. And alright guys, it's several hours later. So what I've done, I cleaned up my welds a little bit, and I broke out the POR 15 on this floorboard, because it did have some little, you know, pits that you couldn't get all the rust out of, as far as rust floor goes. So basically, the inside of the car is done, except for the trunk. We got most of the parts that come out of the inside of the car in the trunk, so I'll have to unload that stuff, and then we can clean the trunk up and POR 15 it also. So basically what we're doing, we're just going to go through this car and try to make it a super nice car. So sometimes appearances are deceiving, and this is one of them cars where that was kind of the truth. So it's not a bad car, don't get me wrong, but it did live in a northern state for a little while, especially in the first half of its life. So you're going to end up with stuff like this, you know, 87, 86, 80s cars here in Tennessee don't normally have rust like this car does. And this would be a rust-free car if you were in like New Jersey. So I'm going to flip the car around and I'm going to show you the finished product. I'm going to let this POR 15 cure out overnight and we'll go from there. So basically guys, I got the whole floor coated in here. Wire brushed everything been rust mortared and cleaned, and we POR 15 the whole floor pan. So basically, here's our new floor pan in here. I have not seam sealed this. I want that POR 15 to penetrate around the welds. And then when this cures out, I'll come in here and I'll seam seal it. And I'll do one final coat over the top of the seam seal. So basically our floor pan's installed. And I've still got to do a little cleanup work on the bottom. When I get it back over on the rack, we're going to do the bottom side of the car and the frame. And then we can get to start making this thing faster. So I'm going to flip the camera back around. So that's it for today, guys. Hopefully at least some of you will enjoy this video. And if you never messed POR 15, it gets in your skin, it don't come off. So make sure you use gloves, especially if you're chemical sensitive stuff. So I appreciate you watching the video. I'm going to do it live tomorrow on the 1,000 subscriber giveaway, where we're going to pick the winner, and then I'll get in contact with that winner and see what their automotive interests are, and I'll pick something out just for them. So until next time, guys, we'll see you at the next one.